Learn how the smell of music will open your mind, why I never tell my friend that the sunset is beautiful, and how the sounds of a train and church bells resuscitated my life. Welcome to No Bow Tie, where we conquer emptiness and frustration, discover our uniqueness, and live with unrelenting joy. I'm John No Bow Tie Swoboda, author and musician. Today, we're going to start a 3-part series on how to get out of a rut. Be sure to subscribe. I'm sure you've had the following experience in your own way. You get a job and at first it's great. The work doesn't change, but eventually after a year or two, you find yourself in a rut and you don't look forward to going. You're doing the same thing. You're parking in the same place. You're working with the same people. The demands have not necessarily increased, but you're just not liking the job the way you once did, or you're in a relationship and the relationship just sparks were flying and you loved everything about it. Matter of fact, you might have even married that person, and then one day you're looking and the excitement's gone. You don't know what to do about it. So you start to kind of find your own thing and avoid the relationship. You don't want to talk about it, and you find yourself in a rut. Another way is just simply favorite things that you like to do. Have you ever had a hobby that always pulled you out of a funk, but this time it's not? So in almost every rut is cured by taking on things that are outside of us that are stimulants of some kind, either alcohol, tobacco, drugs, different kinds of social media. That's a big one. Things that are outside of us that don't provide any sustenance. They just drill the rut in harder. You know what I'm talking about. It's a sickening feeling, but we're going to talk today about how to recognize that and get out of it. Looking forward to this. It's going to be very productive, and we're going to change your life for the better. 7 years ago, my wife and I, we found ourselves in a rut, both in a relationship and where we were living. The place we lived was great. It was a big house with a big yard, with neighbors. We didn't know them, but we assumed that they were nice. We never talked to them. Everybody stuck to themselves. It was your bedroom community, oak tree in the front, 3-car garage. You just pictured my house. Okay. Well, we decided to get out of there. We weren't sure where to go, so we started exploring both the East and the West. We went to Colorado and we went to North Carolina. And oh, was it exciting to see these places and think about living there. And every time we talk about it, we drive to Lawrence, Kansas, about an hour away. And we loved to go to a coffee shop there called Decade. And we'd sit there for well over an hour and a half talking about where we wanted to move. And then we walk around the town because the neighborhoods were so beautiful and the downtown was just vivacious with life and character and variety and open-mindedness. And finally, we're driving home and my wife said, "Why don't we just move to Lawrence, Kansas?" And I said, I'm game for that. So make a long story short, we got the house on the market, we sold it, we bought another house here, we got the dream home. Over 100-year-old house with lots of character, big enough for the two of us, plus a little bit of space. Perfect for us and the dogs in our new life. The neighborhoods had tall oak trees. We loved this neighborhood. The downtown was walking distance. The restaurants were all over the place. And you know the rest of the story. After about 3 months, we started to see that it was the same old, same old. We were going to work and coming home. We were doing the same things. We weren't talking to people. We got used to that lifestyle. And we got into a rut and unknowingly didn't really know how to get out of it. So one day, I found myself thinking about where else we could move. We've got a problem. Now, you've probably had a similar experience in your life. And I'm not saying that bringing novelty into your life isn't a good thing. I'm not saying that you shouldn't look for variety and change things up. I am saying that if you're in a rut where you get, your mind is in a funk and you're not enjoying life the way that you once did, and the pleasure of it is still there, but you just don't see it. Perhaps it's with a whole family or, like I was saying, a job. We're going to talk about how to recognize that and get you out of that painful state of mind. I did an experiment with a class, a music class, and I had them both listen to a piece of music. And the first group, I wanted them to listen and just tell me what the music was like, if they liked it, how it compared to their favorite music, and if they noticed anything about it, okay? The second group, I asked them to employ their senses. In other words, I said, what does the music smell like? What's the texture that you would feel with your hands in that music? And I went on with all of the different senses. And at the end, I compared notes and we had a group discussion, and you would have been amazed at the different response between the two groups. The first group, most of them didn't like the music. They were filtering it through a judgment of what their favorite music is like. And they just kept pointing out to me what was good and what was bad, what the composer could have done better, what the composer did wrong. All very logical patterns. The second group, they didn't really want to like it. They didn't like it or dislike it. And there were a couple that said they didn't care for the music, but they still enjoy the experience. They were thinking in terms of the essence of the matter. They were becoming mindful and letting the music speak to them instead of controlling it with their mind. So we had logic on one side, and we had perhaps a creative perception on another. Now, the main point here is in life, most of the time, when you get into a rut, you start to think more logically. What can I get out of it? Do I like it? How are my goals stacking up? Am I getting back what I'm giving? How long has it been since I've gotten a raise? Why doesn't my spouse respond the way that I want her to or him? We start to think logically instead of accepting it and going in and just saying, what's the best I can do here? What are some of the best relationships I can build? What are the things I enjoy most that I can offer? A friend of mine, Brad, we were hiking out in the Flint Hills, and the sun was setting, and I'm a city boy and quite logically minded at the time. And as the sun was setting, I kept pointing out how beautiful it is. And I'd take a breath of air and say, doesn't that air smell sweet? And he would not respond. He just kept staring at the sunset. And I thought he was getting bored with the sunset because he would not say a thing. And finally, after I interrupted his thinking and his feeling, he said, you're pointing out so much beauty that I'm having a hard time noticing what is. In other words, he was saying, let's not think so logically. Let's not analyze this so that it has value. Just take it in. Just notice it. My wife and I, back to the story about our house, after a year of thinking, wow, what have we done? Is this a good decision? I went for a walk, and it was after meditating. So my mind was running kind of slow and easy, and I was relaxed. And as I was walking, I just started breathing and smelling the air. And I slowed down and I could hear children playing. And I stopped and just listened to what is that like? What is it like to listen to children play? And then about then, the train whistle went off and a church bell started to ring. And I just took in all of those sounds and I just sat in the most wonderful enjoyment and just absorbed what it was like to be in that moment. I turned around and started walking home, and I realized that I was living in the best place that I could ever live in. All that changed was what was in here, not what was out there. I included my feelings in the surroundings, and I didn't try to control any of it. I saw one time a picture. There was a famous person walking down the street of Nashville, and I saw a picture of the scene, and this person took a picture of everyone taking a picture. It was hilarious. Nobody was really in the moment. They just wanted to get the picture. And I think the person, who I won't name, I think they were a little bit annoyed that nobody really wanted to know him or say hello. They just wanted a picture. And of course, everybody's wanting a picture with him. Never did they really connect. And it was all about that. So they were placing value on what they could get out of the moment instead of placing value on just what the moment was. This occurs constantly. So we're running out of time. Next week, we're going to talk about something that you will greatly appreciate, and that is usable, reliable steps to pull yourself out of a funk, no matter what that is. So be sure to subscribe and be the first to get that episode. It's going to be a lot of fun. It is a life-changing matter. The things I'm going to share with you help me immensely in a very tight time. Has helped a lot of people since then. So be sure to subscribe and get on that newsletter. Go to nobowtie.com/life for more. Before I go, I always leave you with a music example of how I spent time getting out of my own rut by doing this music, by turning classical music into a lot of fun for me. I think you will enjoy it too. So slow down, take time, and don't take that picture just yet.